This is the New Ages Now reel-to-reel movie review, presentation, past, present, future of reality here and now. Presentation with Ronald Gust and Professor Cat Fun, aka Peter Adams, aka a whole bunch of other things. And you never know what your identity is going to be from day to day. This is our choice. And this is why we're presenting the Reel-to-Reel movie show as our orientation to the media madness of the world is quite important at this time. It's rulership of our identification, which we allow each and one and all, and it is important. And our understanding and evaluation and our enjoyment of the reality that we live in and the movies that are being presented of this reality is very important aspect, demonstration of the simulator. That is the matrix or grid or simulation of reality, the holographic projection from the fourth dimension that is under or is the controller, replicator of reality as we see it. In other words, we're seeing it in terms of the reality that it is. By the presentation of reality that is in the social cultural universe and the psychic mental dimension and our physical sense awareness that we have within us, the five senses, etc., that are tracking our experience, even though we may say that that real experience is not a real identification. I have this experience myself, Ronald, where many times, just like right now, I was looking for the reel-to-reel discussion and editorial that I created for this particular segment. And just now I have found it, which is curious because all up until now in that introduction, I did not see it. If I could shut off Norton's expiration interruptions, it would be a lot better, but so far I haven't been able to prevent it. Nonetheless, here we go. I'm going to copy and paste this whole segment here. It covers what this show is focused on in depth. And wow, it's pretty interesting. There is the quote. Reel to reel, got in my present tense evaluation has been that I have noticed or took a lookup of the most interesting new movies for the 2022 sci-fi best or most anticipated movies of the year. There's really four of them that caught my attention in particular. The remake or the reissue of the Avatar Part 2 series coming out in December. And this is an exciting waiting movie for everybody, but they have put it on hold for at least 3 years, partly because of COVID and or other reasons, production reasons, including that they are making 2 or 3 different Avatar follow-ups at the same time, something similar to what they did with at least one of the Star Wars. So it takes longer for all this coordination. And I'll say, boy, they better have something good. But I am somewhat doubtful, and that's what this story of the new movies is all about. Disney has had a particular problem with putting out their own issues of what we call new genre sci-fi. That is like blockbuster Star Wars or Avatar. They're trying to create others of that level of success, and they are failing at it. None of their issues of or most of their reissues or promotions, ideas have been successes. They have a few in the animated field, Lion King, etc., Frozen, and yes, they're still succeeding in the animated, but in the live action, so-called fantasy, reality fiction, they are having a difficult time of it. And I think the reason is that they're all regurgitating the same reissued movie theme ideas, which I will go into here by reading the editorial discussion that follows. Is that clear to you, Ronald?
Yeah, the Avatar was a breakthrough and new, and they're trying to regurgitate that over again, and it's not working. And they never do. Always the first one is always better than anything else they try. And so
That's true.
they're just going to get in trouble, and they'll have to invent something completely new again, and that's where it works. First one always works. The rest of them are just repeats.
Yeah, and or they're, as I said, they're going into the same old thematic scenery discussion and evaluation, but it's even though Avatar was new, what was new about it was the technology. And yes, they did go to another planet that was harvesting minerals, and this is actually enslaving the, generally speaking, the labor force, and the local primitive populations were invaded. And this is a theme that has existed and been part of mankind's development since the beginning. It's therefore a very important revelation to understand why these films are repeats, and the reality of our past experience being brought back to the present in some kind of new form or new technology filmmaking isn't necessarily a breakthrough in consciousness at all. And that is pretty much the reason for their making these movies. They're not interested in changing humanity. They're interested in making sure that the same old is a consistent presentation. That is, the religions, the sciences, the universal view, the human elements, storylines, whether they be war, horror, or science fiction, or dramatic romance. Let me read here to cover this as the editorial, which is, I'm humorously regurgitating my editorial here. The new movies included Avatar, and there's also Moonfall, February 4th. That's coming up very soon. There is another one called Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's March 25th. And that's interesting also, um, because of that idea that I feel very much in the center of trying to do everything, everywhere, all at once in each thing that I'm doing. In other words, I'm trying to gather the whole consciousness all at once. And the same thing goes for analyzing movies. I'm trying to grasp the whole movie, and then, yes, we talk about the parts and the symbolisms and the references, but the real thing is this almost like a blast of sunlight or a volcano going off. And this is interesting because we've just had the volcano in Tonga that supposedly was going off and was going to be dangerous tsunami all over the Pacific and all this. And I haven't heard anything of problems except for the local area near Tonga Island have been inundated with ash and fume and rocks raining down. And I don't know, haven't seen the news of how serious it is for the populations as yet. It's, of course, that's what happened in the deep, dark past. We did have such an explosion with a meteor coming down or a volcano eruption, Krakatoa, etc., in that area of the world, the Ring of Fire, and or in actually in Yucatan in Mexico, off of Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, where a large part of the world was inundated. The sun was blocked out, and the 80% of the species were destroyed in some of these events. So, you know, obviously this isn't one of those extinction events, but nonetheless, the movies definitely like to play up on these themes. So I don't know what these everything, everywhere, all at once are about exactly. I have hints. The fourth movie is called Don't Worry, Darling. It's in September. But I think these are all about either space, time, dimension, human dementia, and or love, romance, and all of that kind of human storyline. So here's the movie editorial. If I can scroll down here, let's see, that's good. The unknown reality of the movies. And this is that movies with the unknown reality of the simulator. The dimensional program, hologram, or hypnographic demonstration that we have of reality. The movies very much represent this entire field, especially now with the new technologies that are being developed. Reel to Reel presents the true reality that the movie demonstrates. We're not talking about the simulated reality that is the movie and its references exactly. We may use the references from these movies, but it would be like us sitting in this plane talking about the flight instead of the reality of what we're doing in the flight. Okay, such are these movie design worlds. The animated sci-fi and fantasy worlds are those also that man believes is real. Such is the game design world, or the virtual world, or the reality fiction genre of movie makers. The true reality fiction is something quite different. Why Disney movies have failed is the next has been discussed. But we noticed that Disney keeps pumping out the same universal view of reality based on hard science or mysticism and religious perspectives, one or the other usually. And they also have what I call live dead exhortations of the same space hero high-tech production, meaning survival stories, using oftentimes the new technology to make them more dynamic, adventurous, and exciting to watch, such as Star Wars and Avatar, and all the zombie or war horror. And also we can go into the political, government, business, mafia, developed business marketing ploy, relations and reflections in our, basically we've reduced our three-dimensional space-time to two dimensions, space and time, that is, and we squash in the emotional and mental dynamics in the presentation. They use the imagination and even our dream visions to promote or project these lifestyle ideas, such as, let's say, the zombie movies, where they're actually moving towards creating humans as zombies. Very definitely. Same thing with the reptilian views that we get with numerous movies. Let's say in reptilian law, the political scenarios, and of course the more dark or lower world kill or be killed survivalism of the reptilian war machine, or warship as I call it, something very similar to the Dark Star in that way, the Darth Vader's Death Star. And it really is a simulation of that kind of concept and of that reality that is part of and definitely occurring planetary and universally. It's a big subject all the way around, that's sure. Earth reality, or the true reality, in a way that they want to discover the rainbow bridge, as it's been called, of escape or freedom into the true reality life is. Humans want to stay in that nice little bubble of control and safety and familiarity. And they hardly, if ever, touch the entropic nature of life and on Earth. And what I mean by that is the inevitability, it seems, of death, and why that is so apparent in the movie dynamics, of the characters and heroes and heroines who are facing potential death presently or directly, suspensefully in all of the movie presentations. Characterizations and situations that they're dealing with. Life on Earth also includes company failure and business failure and economic failures, which is inevitable in any, I'll say, capitalistic drama creation, because they are making movies and presenting these ideas in capitalistic or monopolistic fashion for economic purposes, for the most part, which is their idea of survival. Let's make movies so we can survive and have all kinds of stuff, and also present our ideology so that we can keep all the rest of the people in our prison concept, and or enslavement or controlled environment. Movies like this two-dimensional view, or what we could say also is having sound and light, basically, or the light and sound elements is the challenge. Because when they read the book, their imaginations can take off, and they can also make all the references freely, whereas in the movies, it can very much be very much this is the presentation, and you have to accept it or not, but you basically, it's real. So all you have is this accept why I didn't like it, or not real. It's very easy, I think, in talking politically here about the movies that did cover in the recent Reel to Real about the control of women, New York.
Peter, you're cutting out a lot.
Well, I'm just sitting here, not moving around. That's maybe a scene that I'm going to talk to see what kind of thoughts you have about what we said so far. What came to mind?
Well, what comes to mind is that if you're reading a book, you can throw it down if you don't like it. But if you pay the money and you go into a theater, you got to sit there and watch it. And then you're the one's going to have to make the judgment of whether you're seeing a good movie or a bad movie. For example, right. Dancing with Wolves, that was one of a kind, and it really did really well. And same way with Avatar, the first ones do well. If you try to repeat them, they just go bad. And Walt Disney, they're the funny book of the movie system, and they're trying to change their style. And I don't think the people are buying it. And that's the problem with them. That's just my thoughts on what's going on. And you're right, this whole thing is nothing but brainwashing anyway.
We go to the movies. Now, nobody's gotten to the movies because of COVID. And so they're having difficulty with that presentation. So they're changing it and putting it to the TV and the computer. And then it's still the same thing, but because it's true that you can stop the movie, you have a little bit more freedom. But the thing is still, there's lots of pay-per-views, and I know from my own experience, I have walked out of very few movies. I walked out of the Dolly Parton movie with Burt Reynolds at the whorehouse, the Great Whorehouse, or whatever it was called, and it was terrible. And from my view, and I just, there are very few movies I remember walking out on, though.
Well, I don't blame you. I would have walked out on that one too.
Yeah, but the thing, is they're presenting now still the same issue of controlling, which is their dominant force, and I call it now, it's Amazonia, Life in Amazonia and Belgate, Man Insanity, Mersic, and Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I mean, I've really come up with that today. I noticed someone had a video on that guy, and saying that now moving to the next Facebook and whatever, fake book, because that's how they have gotten everybody to be on their list. They've gotten everybody on their list, and they are not going to want to let go of their list, and they're controlled, and that is the prime mover. And so now some kind of new level of institution, where they called it metaverse of Facebook, and the Zuckerberg wants more sucking and more Borg behavior, reptilian automatism, automatism, or robotism. That's the goal. Is humans as reptilian, zombie-like, automatic belief and acceptance of what they see and hear, whether it's actual reality or not, and maybe even more so that the virtual reality will become the only reality humans will be part of. That is really a goal, to keep us locked into the machine. And it's, wow. So that is the major point of films. Yeah.
You're able to do that if you can control the who's going to watch and what you're putting on. It's like 1 year. I don't know when we lost our free press, but whenever that happened, that's when they were able to start to pull their stuff. And
we lost our free press a long time ago.
Yeah, we need to somehow get that back and get the big chucks, the big guys out of it, guys that have all the money that control what you see. And it's just been censorship completely after 45. So it's we got a rough way to go and a hard way to go. So I don't know what's going to happen.
It's never actually happened, not happened, but the development of the technology and since the computer and since the television, that reality has been boosted, and it has now been boosted again. Now they've gone into the 5G. We'll use it as a symbology of that. And so, as an example, we're here in this airplane, and they're talking about the 5G, especially close to landing. And this is a very big threat that they're very concerned about, and they have they're starting to demand action of some kind. Well, what I was saying was very simple. The 5G is interfering with airlines close to, especially close to landing, and the 5G network is debilitating planes and the flight controllers' ability to protect the planes, and the pilot's ability to get the information they need to land.
Yeah, that's true. That's the problem when you don't really test something that you're trying to ram through. And it's a war weapon that they used. They used that thing back in the Second World War, and it fried the people's eyeballs. They know what this stuff will do, and that's why they're edging us to that 5G. Originally we used to have these old analog phones. I put one in my truck, and I could reach 20 miles, but it transmitted at 3 watts. So they bring out these new little cell phones, and they drop them down to 6/10 of a watt. So now they got to put the towers up every mile away, and just flood us with cell towers. So they've been working on this for about 20 years, I guess, getting us to where we are right now. So it only takes time. And you notice that everything they're doing is they work us towards weapons that, you can weaponize anything, evidently. And so everything they're doing is towards weaponizing. You can even weaponize probably a pencil. So that's just the way we're going.
Okay, this is what I was reading to finish up. or alterations of the same 7 movie themes. That is the life or death survival, the adventure gold cache, the political social commentary, the war and peace movement, the free-spirited youth, and the romantic love religious hope hallmark. And I have another one, it's the dream catcher, or I have a dream individual idealism. Thus, the 7 examples of each genre being fantasy, sci-fi, horror, suspense, comedy, and drama. In the reality fiction, animated, or live action, that is, there's 3 sets in the 3D movie world. Basically speaking, I'll repeat them. There's animation, live action, and what I call reality fiction. This is the field of dreams in the movie Reel to Reel only because they don't grasp the true reality, but rather only the old ages want to play the world game. We have to play it and follow the old reel. But if we are being real, we must create a true reality fiction. That is, the reality that life is. It is not a hypnographic reflection of the hologram in 4D, which is what the movies use to spin manufacturing. Hollywood. Hollywood. That is Hollywood in action. And so, in other words, the real fiction is a reality, like a dream is real, and not a fantasy dream creation of our minds. The soul is, or Solaris is, fiction is known in our own solar field of light. It is not a hologram, it is not a projection, and it's not a simulation, except for our experience is reflected. Reflection is something that we must respect because it basically means we have to be aware. Meanwhile, the sun world or Earth in 3D is only a holographic projection. This is life in the simulator on Earth, and it is that which great movies can demonstrate. While that is like Star Wars or Avatar or the like. Cruella was one I saw by Disney that was actually quite good, demonstrating that control of the fashion industry and the feminine mystique that they use in movies to keep women locked into that whole dimensional program. And it was quite good also because it presented the women becoming free spirits. Disney's main direction, created originally by Walt Disney, was actually to get everyone to leave the real world and believe in their fantasy dimension movie making, so that and storytelling, so that they continue to pay into the coffers of Disney and not become aware of the true reality. Yeah, interesting. But we also don't want to stay locked into it. And that is the choice. Instead of just changing the order of attributes in let's say in a film scene, we need to see beyond the La La Land production of life into our own storyline. This is our own imagination, or whatever we're speaking of or writing, is translated into direct pictures and images. I think this is a future of the virtual reality filmmaking. And it could be not that far away. What we're really wanting to do is become a seer of the true reality life is. And that would be something like looking into reality, and then our view of reality becomes the reality that we see. I'm going to continue and finish that. What I was saying was about the dream of Lathe of Heaven, because that movie is, really demonstrative of this whole virtual reality creation in the simulated coordination, through the imagination. is that all this is real, is the reel-to-reel drama suspense movie realization that we are recognizing in the simulated reality every day. This brings us to the NUUU and the WWE Worldwide Presentation, Education, and Demonstration of becoming aware and recognizing the true reality life is, and we'll say also the simulated, the opportunity to be aware of the simulation and make choices of what it is we really want to experience and be, promoting and being in life and throughout the universes. So from here, anything is possible. That is, there is no past or future to concern. And the new reality of the new earth and the new universes is real now. Really it is. We are actually creating our reality, co-creating or creating, depending on your viewpoint, the reality that we experience. When we recognize that, then reality will shift, and the new reality of the earth and the new universes is real now. Nothing need more be said. But Ronald, that's the end of the editorial. How much we have been able to present this particular point of view and vision to everybody, and how many people actually will get it. This is kind of the battle for the war of Earth, in a way. So we're piloting the ship, though, and I'm very happy to have you here piloting with me.
I'd like to say one more thing about when Andrew transported himself in '72 up to 2012. He witnessed that the Supreme Court had 100 foot of water, but when other people went there, it was high and dry, and they had come to a conclusion that each one of us live in separate worlds, separate Earths, and each one of us have a different form of life that we have to look forward and that we live in. And so our realities are all going to be different. And so that's what we all have to work through too, is working through different realities at the same time. So we'll get to it the best we can, I guess. NUUU.
And thank you, Ronald.